Hey everybody, my name is Teresa. Thanks so much for coming and checking out my video today. And today I'm going to share with you how I made this pumpkin. It's actually a double-sided pumpkin where one side is for fall and the other side is for Halloween. I really like doing reversible decor because it saves a lot of space, especially for fall going into Halloween, because I like to be able to just switch things over pretty easily and then switch it back to fall once Halloween is over. So stay tuned and check it out, and be sure to let me know if you recreate this and tag me on Instagram. My Instagram account will be linked below. Thanks so much, and I hope you really enjoy making this craft as much as I did.
Alright, so here is everything that we're going to use on this DIY. One thing you'll find out here in a few minutes, this calendar cutout that I was going to use, the moon from the Be Brave calendar, it doesn't end up working out for me. So you'll see in a few minutes my mess up. But first I went ahead and filled in that big hole with some wood filler, and I'm just going to sand it and make it as smooth as I can, and then go onto the back and sand all the spots where the staples were. And once I'm done with that, as you'll see in a minute, at the magic of YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleaned off, because sanding just seems to get absolutely everything everywhere. So next I'm going to go in with the folk art in Sage Shadow. And it seems to never matter. I always make a mess of everything when I'm painting. So I'm going to paint the front side of one of those little blocks with the Sage Shadow. Try saying that 5 times fast. And I'm going to paint all of that on the front, and then I'm going to paint the sides and the top. Oh, I lied. I'm not painting on that one. That one I'm going to leave the buffalo check the way it was. On the next one, I'm going to do it in Waverly's Elephant, and that one I'm going to paint the front, top, and sides. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that down, and you'll still see some of it out. I believe I ended up doing a total of 3 coats, just to make sure that I got the opacity that I was looking for. And good Lord, don't you wish you could paint that fast in real life? That would be nice. All right, so now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on covering my pumpkin with this scrapbook paper. And of course, more mess ups that I love to talk about. As you can tell, the one on the side, I put it down. What you can't tell is on the orange side of the scrapbook paper, there are little tiny words on there, and it's adorable, but that bottom piece, as you'll see in a minute, isn't going to work. Neither is the top piece, because the words aren't going to work out right. I do something smart. I do number it. That way I can make sure it stays in the right order, and the panels of the pumpkin are also numbered just a little bit on the corner, just to keep track of which one's which. So I'll go ahead and put them all in order, make sure they're facing the right direction. And then we're going to go ahead and glue everything. Apparently I'm trying to decide which side to put what on. So there's my scrapbook paper with the orange. And so you'll see in a second, watch what happens. Looking at it, oh, yeah, that's smart, Teresa. You put all of the words on the wrong side, or facing the wrong direction when you cut it out. And now it's not going to fit. And you'll see that right here coming up. Oh, and really? Seriously, you did that, Teresa. You put it on the wrong side. What am I going to do? I'm going to use another piece of scrapbook paper. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't done it the wrong way again with the other ones. So pause it and get another piece of paper. Luckily, in the pack I bought, they have 2 of each kind, and I hadn't used this one yet. So now it's going to be right, and I'm just going to press really firm on there just to keep it in place. And then of course I noticed that I put it on there and it doesn't really fit, and I decide I don't care. I didn't really line it up exactly the way I probably should have. And then with my X-Acto knife, I'm just going to go around and trace off all of the paper, getting it really nice. And the sharper the knife, the better off you are. I think this one probably that blade needs to get switched out, but why not just really put your arm into it? And apparently that is what I did. So peeling away the paper, and here in a minute I'll show you how I kind of try to get it as clean as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to glue the dickens out of this thing anyways, so. And eventually we'll get through this. Oh, I forgot. I left this at normal speed, I think. So it's going to take, it feels like forever compared to the rest of the video. Alright, so you notice it's kind of starting to work its way through. I'm going to use the bottom part of the blade where it's a little bit sharper to work on some of those little curves in the pumpkin, the bottom part of the pumpkin, and that way I can, get through this a little bit faster. So flip it back over and just kind of work your way through getting this thing cut to the correct shape. And checking to make sure it looks like reasonable. And file off with the bottom part or the top part, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it, of the blade to get any little pieces of paper off. Sometime today, Teresa. We are still waiting for you. Okay, so once that is done, I will go back in and do the rest of the pieces of the pumpkin. And I think I'm happy with that. Yes, okay, good, we're happy with that. So I'm gonna speed it up and go through the rest of the sheets, again applying the glue stick. I think this is one of my old ones from some school year or another that the kids didn't end up using or needing. And now all of the words are facing the right way this time, so that's nice. And going to go ahead and go back in and just cutting it down. And one thing you'll notice if you do this, you get glue on that little X-Acto knife, so I would definitely plan to change that blade out when you're done. And I'm just going to peel away all of those edges on the paper and clean it up with the bottom side of the blade. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did the top part of it. I did it pretty much the same, but it's a little bit different because got the wood filler on there and it's a little bit different of a shape. And you'll notice here I messed up again and didn't cut it the right way. And so at first I think like, well maybe I just won't cover the stem. Maybe I'll leave the stem brown. And then I decide I don't like that idea. Maybe I'll match it up with another piece and just go in with that scrapbook paper that I used the second sheet of. I figured I cut into it already, I may as well. So just put that on there and trim around it like the other pieces. Do kind of like a rough cut first just to get rid of the excess. And I do save it because you never know when you might need just a little bit of orange scrapbook paper with fall related phrases. And eventually I will be done and we will have a cut out piece of pumpkin with all kinds of things covering it. Alright, yep, let's clean up all of those edges. It's probably not as nice as I would like, but it's got a lot of curves in that top part of the pumpkin, so we're just going to pretend like it's supposed to be this rustic and that it's okay. Alright, so now we're going to leave those off to the side. We've gotten that first layer of paint has dried, so we're going to go in with another coat, and that one is, again, the Waverly Chalk Paint in Elephant. And this is going to be your Halloween side, so that's why I went ahead and covered up the brown tan buffalo check. And we're going to go in with the Shadow Sage for the other one. And we're just going to be painting the front part of that. You really probably could have left it the way it was. It did say Welcome Fall, and it kind of went with that same color that was on the background of it. And now we're going to glue down all of the different slats on the other side where the paper is not at currently. And what you'll notice here is I think at this point I've already messed up on one piece of the calendar, and now I'm going to go ahead and just complete the lovely behavior. And oh yeah, see, I'm thinking I'm going to cut out a spot for that, and then I notice, oh, it doesn't really matter because the bottom part sticks out anyways. So I kind of just decide I'm going to just abandon the entire idea of using that calendar for this. And I just kind of go in with a piece of scrapbook paper from a Halloween pack. And then I'm just gonna roughly cut around everything, cut all of my slats out. I was trying to make this one match up a little bit better because it does have a lot more obvious of a pattern. The other one has little writing, little words on it, so you really can't tell that that's what it is. And I just kind of keep going back and forth, flipping from top to bottom to get in there as much as I can. And it's not going to match up perfectly, but it'll come close. And what I'm going to end up doing is using a piece of paper that's left over from one of the other sides and finding a spot that kind of matches up to that stem. And once it's all said and done, you really can't even tell. So now I haven't decided to completely kill all of you by making you watch me cut all of that paper off again, and I'm going to go into gluing it. So I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to clamp all of them together. And you notice on that one, obviously my hot glue gun wasn't hot enough, so here I'm going to wait until it's a little bit hotter. I'll put a string of hot glue down and put it together. You're going to want to do basically like 2 panels at a time. I think on one of these here, I think I decided I was going to try to be cool and put down 3 or attach one to this one, making it a third, and that didn't really work out that well for me. So you're going to want to do 2 at a time together and then come back and glue those other sections together. And those clamps, I tell you what, they are a lifesaver when you're trying to glue things together like this. See, that's where it happened. It fell apart and I was none too happy with it. So again, like I said, do it in groups like this and make sure that they're stuck together so you don't have to do this by peeling off hot glue. It wasn't really hot, so it's not like I burned myself, but it's still an annoying part of the process that you can really skip just by being patient and waiting for your hot glue gun to warm up all the way and making sure that you're doing this the right way by doing 2 panels together and then gluing them on to the other parts. It makes things so much easier. Oh, and then just in case you couldn't tell, that little cackle in the background, that would be my daughter. Not a witch, although it feels like it sometimes. So what I'm going to also do, and I did it a little just now, is start to hack away a little bit of the excess glue. Whichever side you have spacing up is the side you'll see less of. So I decided I would see it more if I had it, showing through on the darker side. So I let it kind of gather up a little bit more on the lighter side of the pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything all stuck together and see, there you have it. My pumpkin, fell apart again. Seriously though, hot glue it a lot and trim off the excess. And I decided I'm not going to show this with you. So you can see it up in the top there that it is clamped. I'm going to let it sit there for a little while and dry all the way. Apparently my dogs wanted to come in and see what was going on. So I'm going to glue this popsicle stick here, and that is going to be the spot where you're going to have your pumpkin sit in, and then just glue a lot of the other edges down so that they'll meet up nice. And so I'm kind of happy with that, the way it turned out. There's not too much of a seam between it as far as a gap of like glue or anything, but so what I'll do next, I'm going to leave that clamp on that bottom piece, but I'm going to go ahead and glue on the stick and then put your pumpkin there, and you'll see in a second I've got an idea for that stick, because that's obviously pretty awful looking. And I've kind of decided sometimes simpler is not better. So I'm going to go in and put this little wood round thing. I got that, I believe, from Hobby Lobby. And I think that the front part of it looked a little too rough for me, a little unfinished, because it is unfinished. So I've decided just to kind of cover it with Mod Podge. And right now I'm trying to figure out what in the world I was going to put in front of it. I knew I had those ghosts, and for the life of me, I could not find those ghosts. So I finally found them. I was looking for them the other day too, and still could not find them until just this video. So I'm going to paint that guy white with pretty much any paint. Doesn't make too much of a difference. And yes, I know he has a big hole in his forehead. He looks like he had a really rough day and became a ghost by getting shot in the head. But don't worry about that. We're going to cover that up in just a minute. So we're going to let him dry just a second, and we're going to glue him to that stick. One thing when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to glue him to the stick, I realized his little ghost eyes and mouth were not looking too great. So I'm going to paint that stick black so the area behind his eyes and nose, mouth, whatever that is going to show black. And here I kind of got a little distracted by these spots where the glue was coming through and thought, well, maybe I'll just paint it black and see if that shows a little less, looks more like a plank, something. So let's glue down our ghost. And then I think at some point I decided too much of that stick is showing through in different spots. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the whole thing. And yep, there you go. See, and now I'm looking, I'm like, oh, nope, still got to paint the bottom part. So, yep, that's all nice and painted now. Let it dry a little bit, and let's glue our ghost there. Kind of wanted to make him look like he was floating away a little bit, so let's just do a little dab of glue there, and there you have it. Now, if you'd filled him, you could just leave it just like that, but I decided I wanted to have another ghost. So I'm going to have another ghost that I already filled his little bullet wound with a bit of that wood filler, and then I'll paint him and let him dry a little bit and glue him down just right there on the top of the other ghost where they're kind of floating away. And I did put another stick behind him, kind of kept it, obviously you can't see it, but this way when you glue him, he doesn't have a big gap and his little tail is the only part that's touching something, because you've got the stick on the bottom part, so you need that stick on the top part to kind of balance it out. So we're done with the front side for now, and our little wood round is dry, and I take a little wooden dowel, cut it down, and I'm go in with the Waverly Hazelnut to paint the stem. Any color would do. So I glue down my stick, and then I think, oh yeah, well, now I need it to be flush with something, so let's add a little bit more of that wooden dowel. Anywhere doesn't really make too much difference. And then let's paint our stick with that Waverly chalk paint in hazelnut. And then we're going to glue him down, trying to figure out where I want it to kind of balance a little bit with where the ghost is. So put a little bit of glue on the bottom and a little bit of glue on that wooden dowel that's on the back. So I decided I needed to add a little bit of something, and I'm going to show you how I do the Canva app. So first you're going to go in and choose a new design and add in your dimensions. And I kind of did like a rough measurement of my pumpkin. So next you're going to go ahead and choose text and choose the kind of heading. I choose subheading, and you're going to go ahead and type in whatever it is you're writing in there. I'm going to do this eventually on my Cricut, so I'm going to just add in the phrase, "want to go on an autumn stroll." It is actually a phrase that is on that orange scrapbook paper, so I thought that'd be really cute to kind of tie it all together. And no judgment here, that is how fast I type, because I was typing with one finger. So next, I don't know why I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to place it, because it doesn't make much difference. It's just going to get uploaded into Canvas. So next I'm going to choose the font that I'm going to go with. What's really cool about the website is it actually is, a lot of features are free. So I'm going to choose, I think, a handwriting one, and choose whichever one I think looks best eventually. I thought I really edited all this out. I'm sorry, guys. I think I went in, yeah, then I went into calligraphy and chose one there. And I don't know why I didn't select it on the bottom row, but I went ahead and applied it to that as well. So once you're all done with that, the color doesn't really make too much difference. The size isn't overwhelmingly important because you are going to bring this into Cricut. Alright, so next you're going to prepare it to go into your Cricut, so you're going to have to remove the background. If you paid for the app, you could do it within the app, but I have the free version. So you go in here, you upload your image, and then it'll remove the background for you, and then you just download it. And then you just have to upload it into Cricut, and you'll have to choose your, remember to make sure you choose the one that you actually change the background to. And you're going to have the option here to do a cut file. You have to save it, and then you'll go in to your uploads and choose that image, upload it, and adjust it to the size you want. So here's how the fall side turned out. I added the bow and the thankful. I thought it needed a little something up that side. And here's my Halloween side with the Happy Halloween on the bottom. So if you're interested in seeing any more on how to do things through Canva and use them with a Cricut, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make a video that shows a little bit more in detail about that. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.